All right, what's happening? So, I had some issues with the stream earlier and found out I was streaming for a long time, or thought I was, and I actually wasn't, which is okay. That's fine. Nobody watches anyway. But what I'd like to do now is try to quickly balance this scene and maybe apply a beginning grade and just sort of see how quickly can I do it? How quickly can it be done? So I'm in the group pre-clip. I've already gone through and set the exposure and color temperature and everything, and so I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's okay. Um, Here in the group pre-clip, I'm going to go ahead and just delete this node. We're not using it, and I'll get this cleaned up so it's all nice and tidy. And then we'll be in our basic balancing. So this node here is the node fix. It's locked because it's a shared node, and it is the I think it's this panel 1 shared node. I wish there was a way to view the whole. Oh, there it is. Yes, panel 1 shared node. So this is the fix that I did to get the fishing stuff that shot with the ND filter and the fishing stuff that shot without the ND filter to match. So this stuff was shot without an ND, so I'll just disable this. And so this is what it looks like without the ND. It's a little green, a little blue-green. Doesn't look terrible. You know, the colors are fairly naturalistic, but there's something about the way that ND changes the colors that I really like. It's made it a little bit too red in the sort of the low mids, but we're going to fix all that. That's what the balancing is for. So let's see how quickly we can balance this group, adjust some individual clips, and then apply a creative grade. So it's 7:02. Let's see how quickly we can do it. So first we're going to balance. So let's break out our parade and our waveform scopes here. And this is a pretty good representational shot. It's a wide shot. Probably a better representational shot would be like these two shot reverse shots. So let's go to this first one over right here. This is sort of like the heart of the scene, kind of happens right here anyway. So the first thing I see is that I can bring the lift down. So let me go to my primary so I can see exactly what we're doing here. It's doing it anyway, even though we're not on that panel. But so I'm bringing the lift down. I'm using the, you can see the Blackmagic Design Micro Color Panel here. And I'm just bringing it down so that my bottom values are getting closer to that bottom line. So the lift is going to move where the bottom point is while the top point stays in place. Okay. So I get it down, kind of kissing that line there. Could probably take it down a little more so we just get some nice blacks. Okay. It's starting to kind of crush things up, so I'll leave that alone for just a second. Now we're going to use our gain wheel, which is on the outside of the ball. We're going to use the gain collar, and we're going to push it so that our values at the top of the scopes here start kissing the top line. All right, and so I'm going to take that gain up. All right, probably a little too much. So let's bring it back down a little bit. I want there to be some, things kind of pushing white, but it's not really everything. All right, we might bring that back down a little more here in a minute. Now we're going to do the gamma, and the gamma is going to move sort of where the midpoint is. And just going to make sure that our pivot is 0.414 on all of this since we are in the ACES CCT color space. So I will bring down the gamma. And now let's get our picture kind of back intact a little bit. I'm going to bring the gain back down a little bit because we're losing some definition sort of in his shoulder here and in the top of her head here. Bring the gamma back up so I can get his face. I'd like to get his face a little more closer to exposure. You can see how low it is. When I move the eyedropper here, you see the colors over there. So I'm going to bring our gamma back up. Get his face a little back into exposure there. aiming mainly for the stuff that's not under the shadow of his hat, which is, it's like here, you can see this is sort of above exposure. Where that green circle is in the parade, that's about mid gray. So that's at exposure if it were gray. So I'm going to bring it up just a little bit more. There we go. That's starting to look like something, right? So again, I can disable this node, and this is just sort of what we had before. And this is our sort of more contrasty shot. What we had before looks really good. It's just kind of low contrast. So I'm going to bring our lift back up just a little. Okay. And I'm actually going to, so I feel like this is like exposure-wise, I feel like we're okay. Actually, I'm going to bring our gain down again. I just feel like we're losing detail in her hair, although I'm not sure how much detail is actually there. But this all right in here is starting to look pretty good. The hair there is kind of towards the top, starting to lose a little bit of color in the shoulders. I'll just bring gain down just a little more so we don't lose those shoulders. There we go. And then I'll bring our gamma up so I can get his face back where we can kind of see what's going on. So it's looking pretty good. I'm starting to get the feel of the wheels here. Okay, so that is, and actually let's call this balance. So we'll do bow for balance, balance exposure. And now let's add a node, option S, and we will call this balance contrast. Okay, and we'll make sure our pivot is at 0.414. And then we're just going to use the contrast knob here on the panel. And we'll take the contrast down a little. Okay. I don't hate that. It's a small adjustment, but let's disable it, re-enable it. This brightens his face up under his hat a little bit there. And now we're going to add another node, and we'll call this one balance color. So this will be our color balance. Clean this up a little bit so you kind of see better how everything is going there. So now what we're going to do is just do color. So we're still on these primary wheels. I just want to get some of this magenta out of the clip a little bit. And let me make sure in my camera raw that we're on the right tint and everything. Yeah, all looks good. Okay. So you can just hover over this white beard and you can see there's a little more red than green and there's way more blue than either. It should be a little more blue because they're in the sun and they're in the shade. And being in shaded sun is going to make things bluer. But I don't know that we want it that blue. And I also don't want it that magenta. So I think I want to push the green up so that you have more of a slant from red, green, and then blue. So I think I want the green a little higher than the red. So to my gain, I'm going to add a little green. So I'm just going to move the wheel towards green. That actually looks pretty good. So here's the way it was before without the color balance, and here it is now with the color balance. And very interesting. So if I were to turn off all of these nodes, that's our original camera stuff, still very green. This is already a much better look. Now I don't want my eyes to get too adjusted to this because I can, if I go to this, that looks very green. If I come back here, I see, oh, there's still a lot of magenta in this image. But so that's why we have the scopes, because your eyes get used to what you're looking at. And of course I got this bright light so you can see my face. But let's find something else that's sort of a medium tone. So like here's some gray. And again, you can just see that the mids just need a little more green. Let's boost that green. And here's the thing, I don't want to take out what the ND does. You know, I like the look of the ND. I like that it's a little reddish, a little warmer. I don't want to completely take it out, but I do want to make sure that all the stuff is balanced. So already looking pretty good. Now let's find some dark gray, something like maybe down here. And again, we can just use just a little more green. just to kind of get the color balance even out. Kind of get a little bit of that. I don't want to take too much out, actually. Okay, that's not too bad. And now what I want to do, I'm going to go to the HDR node. I'm just going to take the whole thing warmer. I'm just going to add 1,000 to the color temperature. Already out. So again, we'll disable all these and re-enable. And you'll see as I disable and enable, all the tracks in the clip down there from the scene change, because everything that we're doing here in this group pre-clip is being applied to all the clips in this group, which is everything in this scene. Okay, so that's looking pretty good, and we can actually check it too. We'll go to this clip of Gwen here, and we'll just sort of check, you know, some of these values here. This looks pretty good. It's kind of a taupe thing, her shirt. It's actually, the values on that are pretty good. It's brown, so it should have more red, and it's in the shade, so it should have more blue. This part of her shirt is gray, but she's in the shade, so it should be a slanted line towards blue, and it is. I think everything's looking good. Hot spot on her cheek is high, but we're not losing details. The sort of shadowy part is in the low mids. The stuff that's, you know, add exposure, camera side, is right there, right around 414, which would be middle gray. So actually everything's looking really good. I like this. The only thing is I might play around with the saturation a little bit. So let's add another node, Option S, and we'll call this one Cine Sat. Okay, and we're going to make this an HSV node. So we're going to go to Color Space, HSV, and then we're going to turn off channels 1 and 3. And so what this does is it gives us a more cinematic saturation response. And I'll clean that up again so you can kind of see that. And so this works differently than just turning the saturation knob. And you also can use the lift gamma gain, the collars around the outside. And so, but instead of, because you're not in a full, like an RGB mode or a, you know, color space mode, it's not going to be doing the Luma values. It's going to be moving these channels, which in this case, the only one that we have on is saturation. So everything that we move is only going to move saturation up or down in either the lights, the mids, or the bottom. And it's going to work just the same as lift gamma gain. So let's go to a place where maybe we can see a lot of color, like maybe this shot here. And I feel like the top end is pretty good. I don't really want to saturate it too much more. I feel like the mid is probably pretty good. I feel like down here, when we get down into the bottom, I feel like the bottom needs a little more saturation. So what if we bring the lift up on the saturation? Is that going to more greatly saturate the bottom? Let me disable and enable. Looks like it took saturation out maybe. So let's take the lift down in terms of saturation. I see the histogram changing down there, but like I can't tell what it's doing. Let me do a big adjustment. Oh, I'm in the HDR wheels. That's why. Derp, 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 derp. All right, go to the primaries. There we go. Okay. All right, everything's reset. So now let's go, or this node is reset. So, but it's still HSV, middle channel only. The H hue, S saturation, V value, which is like brightness. So S is the only channel that's on. So let's ratchet up the lift. Perfect, that's what we want. So let's undo that. And I'm just going to take it up just a little bit. That's pretty good. Let's take it up just a smidge more. I'm actually going to take some of the saturation out of the top end, I think. And I want to take just a little bit of the cooling out of the top end. So I'm going to go I'm going to go back to my balance color. I'm just going to go towards orange yellow a little bit. Mostly yellow, a little bit orange. Here we go. It's just this thing makes such fine adjustments. Ooh, that's too much, right? All right, I want to reset just the RGB values of my gain. And the way that I do that is by looking at the manual. Looking at my reset buttons. Reset gain. Shift up resets only the RGB values, leaving the levels just okay. So shift up, reset gain. Perfect. Okay, so I want to take out the magenta. Oh, too far. I'm going to go warm to the left. Away from magenta a little bit. Keep going warm. Okay. And I know I changed the color temperature in the HDR mode. I'm going to change it just a little bit here by about 200. Oh yeah, that brought some nice color in there that we were missing in his hands. That actually looks really good. All right, let's go back to the shot of her. It looks great. Saturation looks great. Let's go to this close-up of him. Okay, now these I'm going to have to adjust, probably using some power windows. I'm going to have to adjust the exposure on a little bit, because actually I kind of like this look on her, which we did film later in the day. I'm going to desat, so I'm going to go to my Cinesat, and now I'm going to desat the top end just a little bit. So I'll disable that node and re-enable it. Looks pretty good. Pretty good. So I really like this look. Looking at how dark the background is versus, you know, got a lot of light coming in here, particularly on her back. And honestly, we're just probably gonna have to do an OFX depth something, which will not be part of our quick fix to the scene, but that's okay. Let's go back to this opening shot and just kind of look at it at the end. And you know, it's not bad, especially when you look at the original. Here's the original. It's got the warmth. It's got some of the reddish to it. I'll have to do some tweaking on this particular clip, but it's not bad. And then we want to look at just the last clip in this scene as well, which is basically the same setup as that first clip. And it's not bad, but I'm going to have to do some adjustment. They're too dark. The background's blowing out. So I'll have to do some fixing with that, but that's not a problem. I think it'll still work inside this group. So everything's looking really good. Now look how yellow his shirt is there versus here. I think that's because of the light that we're using. It's not that different. Not that different. Everything looks really nice. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and save that, and I'm gonna call that the group pre-grade. I think that's done. It's 7:20. Took less than 20 minutes to do that for, and this is not just this scene, but I think this is any of the fishing stuff that doesn't have an ND. Now, as I go back into the fishing stuff and I look at some of the other shots that don't have an ND, what we've done here may not work for them because they're done in different lighting scenarios. I'll probably have to break those out into their own group. I'll probably have to call this by its own scene number, which is, what is it? Darkness rolled over her. Let's see. Oh, here we go. 28. Scene 28. Go away. Go away. So I may have to break this out into its own scene 28 group. Tempted to kind of just rename the group now. So you know what? Why don't we do that? So rather than like renaming the group or whatever, which I'm not even sure if that can be done, I'm sure it can be done somehow. What we're going to do is first we are going to take a snapshot of this. We're going to take a still, and we're going to go and we're going to make this. Put this just in this reference stills. Actually, let's do this active grades thing. There we go. These are just grades that I'm working on. And I'm going to hit grab still, and it's going to put a still over there in the timeline, and it's going to name it based on the shot. So this is video track 1. It's shot number 331. So if you see the clip that we have selected here, well, that actually says 344. Just strange, but anyway, it's named after what number shot it is in the timeline. I don't know why those numbers don't match, but I guess because in the clip there, stuff in the upper timeline counts in sequential order, I guess. So this is video track 1, clip 331 in video track 1, and it's version 1 of the shot because you can have multiple versions. And it says pre, so you see it's the group pre-clip grade, which has been saved, not the actual clip itself. There's not anything on the clip. So now what I can do is I can select everything in this group. Okay. And I'll right click and go to groups, and it is on the fishing no ND. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add into a new group. We're going to make a new group. Add into a new group. It's going to ask me to name the new group. We're going to call it B-Raw Fishing Scene 28. And then I'm going to put no underscore ND. That way I'll know why we broke this scene out, although I don't think I'll forget. But so then I'll hit OK. And as soon as I do that, the group pre-clip is now empty because this is a brand new group. And you see all of our work that we did went away. So let me just go back to that shot. Right here. Okay. So here's our shot. We're now back to just sort of the normal camera settings. So if I take it to camera settings, bypass there, you notice there's like virtually no change. All it did was take out the... I didn't take out anything because there's nothing going on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to apply this grade to the group, and there it is. Right back where we had it. Looking good. Nice and warm. Still feel like we've got some saturation issues with the yellows. It's too yellow in the middle. Let's go to the color balance node, and I'm going to take my primaries. I'm going to take the middle. I'm going to take the gamma away from yellow a little bit. I'm going to take the top away from yellow a little bit, just going straight to the right. Okay. That was a small, very small adjustment, but I think it did a little something. And then this is middle. Okay, on my saturation node, I'm going to go to my gamma ring. I'm going to take my saturation down just a smidge. Okay. Not bad. Everything looking good. Shots of Gwen. Looking real good. And I would love for that teal to kind of pop there. I wonder if we have a shot where you can see her belt pack. Probably only these opening shots, I guess. Yeah. I guess that's okay. I guess that's teal enough. Teal's kind of her color. She's got little There's always teal kind of on her somewhere. Okay. So now it's 7:25. Okay, so 25 minutes to really get the group pre-clip down. So now we're going to go to the clip level. And I'm going to come back to the beginning and opening shots. I want to get these middle shots better. So let's going to go to the shot of Roy here. And I think probably the easiest thing is to put maybe a non-tracked power window that kind of serves like a vignette a little bit. So let me hide my scopes for a second. So the first thing we need is our empty node graph. I'm just going to append the node grade, and hopefully that won't change our raw settings. In fact, I'm going to put it on raw so I can see what the settings are. 6010.17. And so I will append node graph. And it didn't change. That's good. And now I'll delete the selected node, which was the default node that was already in there. And now I can clean that up. Tighten that up a little bit. Nice. And now we're going to be making some changes just to this particular clip. And then we're going to copy this grade to all the clips from this angle. So I think I want to go to the color slicer here, and I think I want to hue shift the yellows towards warm just a little, and desaturate just a little. I'm actually on this crop zoom layer, which is fine. I can't really tell if that's doing anything anyway. Let me just reset it, because we don't want it on that anyway. We want it on these secondaries, actually. So let's see, option P. Yeah, come on. There we go. And then this is going to go here. Okay, so this is going to be mid yellow adjustments, and I just want it a little warm. Desaturate it a little, maybe a little less dense. Okay, so let me turn that, disable that node. See it doing stuff to the leaves back there. It's not really doing stuff to his mustache, which is kind of where I wanted it. Let me turn this qualifier back on here so that I can kind of look and see where that is. Yeah, it's kind of in that yellow space, maybe kind of the orange space. I guess we'll leave it there. I guess it's okay. All right. So let's just use this parallel node that I have set up here to do our vignette before we go too much farther. And I'm going to use my Blackmagic panel with my manual. And we're going to make a power window. We're going to make a round power window. So we're just going to hit add window. It's going to give us a round window. And I'm going to hold shift up. Yeah, and that's going to let me operate this window. So this is going to let me pan and tilt it. There we go. Okay, and this is going to be the zoom. This is going to be the aspect ratio. Nope, that's the rotation. want to rotate. This is the aspect ratio. And the softness is the lift. Okay, let's increase the softness by quite a lot. Let's go back left. I mean to the right a little. Down. All right, I think that's where I want it. So now what I'm going to do is everything outside that window, which is actually in the next node, we're just going to darken. And we're going to go to our HDR wheel, and that is log wheels. We're going to go to our HDR wheel, and we're going to use the exposure. So I'm just going to take global exposure, and I'm just going to start taking it down. All right, so there's our shot. There it is with the vignette. So now the trick is going to be, you know, how much of this vignette is going to be revealed if the camera's moving around. And the thing is, I don't want to track it to Roy because Roy's moving around. So I would like to track it to the background. That's what I'd like to lock the window to the background if possible. Is that possible? I don't know. Seems like it should be, right? So I'm on the circle window. I'm track the window. Cloud tracker. So I guess I could do the point tracker and set a bunch of points in the background for, you know, things to lock onto. That's one way to do it. It might be subtle enough and feathered enough. Maybe I don't need to worry about that. You know, if there's not a whole lot of moving around in the shot, maybe it's okay. I mean, it's a fairly drastic change, but it's not a change that you see where it's happening. I mean, even on her back, it was very natural. Maybe a little bit on the back of her head. But honestly, it's bringing back detail in her hair that, you know, we didn't have before. So let's see that window again, which is here. And let me just take it that way a little. Up, make it a little bigger. Next node. See, I don't like that it's on his shirt down there. And it needs more of the background in it, and I guess more of her in it, actually. So what I may have to do is basically do two windows, two vignettes, a lighter one that is bigger and a darker one that's like sort of this ring. So let's make a parallel node here. Okay, don't need that. Split that. And after that. Make an outside node from there. And then this, no. This goes up here. Come on, come on, come on, come on. This is super frustrating. There we go. Okay. And now then, I think I can option drag. Yeah. My mouse will work. My trackpad will work. Okay. Very nice. So I'm going to disable this for just a second. We're going to go back here to this one, and we're going to make it a little tighter around Roy. Yeah. So I'm going to decrease the aspect ratio, other way, and get it right around him. All right, we'll go to the next node, and we'll back off this saturation a little bit. Oh my goodness. Let me just reset it. Okay. So I don't want her hair to look unnaturalistic. But I mean, that looks pretty good. Like, you can't tell anything's happening to the shot. If I turn it off, you can see I'm basically just darkening the back of her head, a little bit of the background. I might tighten it up just a little bit, the window. All right, that's pretty good. Oh my goodness. I don't know how to renumber these, or if you even can. I don't guess it matters, but that would be something to figure out, wouldn't it? So you could put them in whatever order you wanted. Oh, nice. Okay. Switching clips selects same node. Because other than these secondaries, we're using a fixed node tree for all this stuff. So that would be a way that once I get it applied to a bunch of clips, if I'm on node 14, when I click to the next clip, I'll still be on node 14. I'll be adjusting the same thing. All right, I'm going to turn this back on. Yeah, that's too much because we already have some applied there earlier, but that's okay. We'll just reset the exposure, and we'll just bring it down a little. I think we could probably bring this one down even more now. All right, so let me select both of these. There we go. Okay. So there is with no windows. There's with the window. And again, it just kind of matters. Her moving in frame, the camera moving around. Is this going to look good? On the still frame, it looks pretty good. Let's just click through the clip and just see. Not a whole lot of movement here. So, you know, kind of looks good from here. Do we want to do any color stuff to these? I think maybe we do. Let me go here to this one mostly. And let me cool off the color temperature a little bit by like 200. Because it would be cooler, you know. And this one we could cool off the color temperature by 200 also. Oh, I should do negative 200, right? Towards blue. Is that what I did? No, I did two. I went the wrong way. About negative 500. Okay, I don't like that. So let's zero out that temperature adjustment. I think I just want blues in the low end. So we're just going to go, let's actually look at a highlight so we can see what we're coloring here. And let's not do that one. Let's do this one. There we go. And I'm on my primary wheels. Oh, and let's do the log wheels. So go to offset like that. Now we're on the log wheels. And just the shadows, I just want to be a little bluer. We'll go a little blue and just a little bit down towards green. All right, so disable, re-enable. I'll take the midtones towards blue just a little. Okay. Turn the highlight off. All right. So that looks pretty good. So now what I want to do is I'm going to grab this still and we'll put it in my active grades thing. So I'm going to grab this still. This is from the clip, not the pre. And I can tell the difference here, even though these are basically from the same thing, because this one says, this one doesn't have pre on it. Okay, pre, that's the pre one. This is the clip one here. Excuse me. And so now what I want to do is I want to select all these clips of Roy. I don't remember which one I did, but it doesn't really matter because we're just applying what we just did. And right click and apply grade. So I'm applying the grade. Actually, I think I can just double click this, can I? Apply grade. Okay, so all those clips now should be the same. And have the same sort of darkness, shadow, and they cut really well with this, with Carrie here. Although I feel like Carrie's shots, I feel like this sunlight here is a little bluer. So we can do a similar thing with her shot. So here's what we're going to do: is we're going to apply the grade, but just to this one, just this first one where it's her and him together. So we're going to look at the raw stuff to make sure the raw, because it's going to change all the raw settings too. So 6010 and 0.5. So let's apply the grade. Okay, put this back at 0.5. All right. So probably going to be resetting quite a bit of this stuff here. Let's disable our yellows. Doesn't look like we did anything in the exposure, the contrast, or the balance, which is good. So we just basically just have these power windows. So that's always good. So let's go to the window here, and we're going to obviously center it up on her. So I can just grab it and move it quickly. If my mouse will cooperate, that'll be the easiest thing to do. And I'm going to do it like this on her, and let's actually change the aspect ratio. Let's narrow that in a little bit. And just rotate it a little. And just make it a little bigger. And take the softness way big. Okay. And so now then, I don't mind the lowered exposure, because if I click back and forth, if I go to the next clip and come back, yeah, maybe I do mind. So why don't we just reset the grade? And let's reset this node grade as well. And let's look at this window. Where's this window? We need to do the same thing here. Might not even need this chain of events, but we want to move it big. Something like this, maybe. Okay. So now we're here, and we're just focused on everything outside this window. We're going to go to the outside node of this window here. And I want it to be warm and maybe a little brighter. Maybe we do the opposite of what we did before. So we'll go to our HDR wheel, which we're in, and let's take the exposure up just a little bit. Yeah, I like that. And let's add 300 to the color temperature. Make it a little warmer. How about 800? Okay, let's look at the next clip and come back. I think we could go 1200. Next clip and come back. And I think we could probably take let's take the highlights up. I wish we could, oh, it has a target here. That's interesting. I wish I could do something here that would like show me what the highlights are. You know what I mean? Bet there's a way to build stills that I could float my mouse over, and it would show me where the different highlights are. That would be a smart thing to do. Not gonna do it right now, but let's add that to the to-do list. Which is here. Whoa. Come on, keyboard. Get it together, bro. Add that to the to-do list here. So we'll do stills gallery for mid-gray and HDR zones. Yeah, so I'll figure out how to do that later, but we're not going to do it right now. All right. So I think this is looking pretty good. So let's disable that node and enable it. I mean, that's pretty nice. I kind of like that. I can kind of see the color temperature change right through here, right? Yeah. So let's look at that window and let's soften the heck out of it. and make it bigger. Okay. That's better depending on how much camera movement there is. What we could also do is go to the mat and just take the key output down a little, so the effect is not quite so strong. But that's not bad. I'm going to take the exposure down just a smidge. It looks pretty good. If we go to the next clip, look at his look at his shirt, and come back. That's pretty close. Looking at her shirt, that's pretty much right on. I think this is looking good. Okay, so what else do I want to do with this? Do I want to do anything with this one? Let's see where this window is. I think we don't need this set of stuff, so I'm just going to delete those. Just get rid of them altogether. I don't think we need that. I'll delete that as well. And now we'll clean this up. Okay. Remove one input. Remove one input. Excellent. All right, save that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as a still by hitting grab still right here. And you'll see it's put that over there as a still. And so now I will select all the shots of Gwen. And I don't really know why there's two right next to each other. That's odd. I don't know what that's about. All right. And I will apply grade. Okay. So now all these clips should have that. And I want to look at this here without Phil in it, to see, without Roy in it, to see, does it look weird that this is brighter and a little warmer? And it doesn't, because there's this big branch in there. And this stuff is like closer in the foreground to the sun. So it totally looks fine. If I were to disable this node, this is what it looks like, which is okay. It actually looks better like this. It looks a lot less flat, actually. Looks great, right? Okay. So far, we're looking pretty good. Now, we haven't done anything to this yet, and I don't know that we really need to. I mean, it looks okay. Why don't we take Phil's node grade here, and let's hang on. Let's go back to our raw settings, because those are going to change. So 6010.5, and let's apply this grade here. All right, and put our exposure back at 0.5. Okay, and looks pretty good, but let's deal with all these winders here. This is going to be the tight window. Is it? It is. So this is the tight window around him there. Okay. And let's go back into our exposure here. We don't need it down that far. Let's cool it off just a little bit. Negative 500. Okay. So I'll disable that node and re-enable it. Again, it's just giving us some shape. It actually looks really good. All right, and now then let's go here to this node. We got this window, which is going over the whole entire image, which we can do like this here. Okay, and let's see what this window is doing here. Let's just give it just a little extra shape. Let's just blow it up a little more, I think. You know, I don't like what it's doing to the water. I like what it's doing up here, but not to the water. So let's rotate it so it's not doing it to the water. Something like that. Yeah, it's just kind of darkening the top there. In fact, I think we can probably bring it down a little. Take it back in just a little bit. Yeah, it's nice. So again, just these two little windows. Select them both here. And I hit disable. So this is as it was shot. Not bad. Right? Looks pretty good. This is with the windows. It just gives a little more shape and focuses your eye right on Roy. I think it looks really good. So again, we're going to grab a still of that. We're still in our active grades gallery over there. So grab a still of that. And then with that selected, let's select all the other clips of Roy here. And we'll apply that grade. And I'll probably have to fix the exposure on some of these because I think some of the, yeah, like this one was a little different. So that looks really great. What's the base exposure of this one? Let's go look here. I think it was 0.1, about 1.5. And I'm going to have to move my windows on it also. But let's play the still. Wipe the still. Oh, we're wiped. It's there. I just need to move it like this. I need to go back. And I need to flop the sides. What is that? Option W. Let's go to our manual. Can't remember the keyboard shortcut for looking at this manual. Wipe, swap. Let's just do wipe. No, not transitions. No. Here we go. No. 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 Okay, I'm not quickly enough finding what I'm looking for, so let's go all the way up to the top. Now let's go to color. And let's look at stills. Using the gallery, there we go. Let's find out about wipes. Color scrub, playing still, setting up image wipes. Option W to invert the wipe. That's what I thought. Option W. There we go. And man, those look, pretty identical. Clearly different lenses. Let's bump up the exposure on this one just a little bit. This is the one that we're currently editing. Let's change this to our qualifier here so I can kind of see. Okay, it's pretty close. Let's look at the green pants down here along 128. Image on the right look a little bluer, particularly in this bottom end. It is bluer. But is it bluer on the top? It might be. So why don't we go to clip balance and warm it up in the HDR panel with the color temperature and give it about 400, kind of warm it up a little bit. I feel like that's really, really close. Close enough for government work. Okay, so now all we have left in this scene, as far as the balancing, we haven't done our creative grade yet, okay? So we're still balancing clip by clip, and we're at 8 o'clock, so we've been doing this for 1 hour. It's not bad for, one scene in 1 hour. Of course, we have 70 scenes, so that's 70 hours of work just to balance clips. And this is by not the most complicated scene by far. And we're not done. So we got 2 more shots, the beginning and ending shot. And I think we're just going to have to do those sort of manually. Although we could start maybe with this grade on it here. So let's just apply this grade. But let's reset these. The reset button, let's see, reset, that's on the left group. Reset. Resets the grade of the current node. So if I was here, I'd go previous node and hit reset. There we go. Okay. Mid yellow. I don't know that if we need that again, I will add it back. So let's remove one input. There we go. All right. This is our starting point. So I want to go on down to the end because this is the stuff that we need to match. And once again, let's play this still because we got to get that looking more like this. Roy kind of looks okay. He's a little pink, so we're going to take some of the pink out of this whole clip here. And maybe cool it down a little. So let's go negative 400 in the, how about negative 800? Oh, and you know what? That would have changed the color temperature and everything would have been the same. I'm going to take the exposure down. What if we just hit 0? Let's do 0.17. That's what the rest of these were at. It's just like a little nudge. Yeah, that's pretty good, actually. Okay. And now there's just this red cast coming from that ND fix. So we're on this clip balance where we're changing colors. Exposure wise, do we need to contrast it up just a little bit? Maybe we do. Let's just do this properly. Let's start with the exposure. Turn my still off there for a second. Okay, yeah, see how the gain needs to come way down. So, but let's do the lift first. Let's take the lift down. Okay, now let's bring the gain down. Dadgummit, we're in the log wheels. How in the world? Reset, reset. Let's just reset this whole panel. Reset node, right? Okay. We're going to just the regular wheels. There we go. Pivot 0.414. And when you reset the node grade, I forgot it does that, doesn't it? No. And I wonder, did I add that to my... I did. Okay. Save. All right. 0.414. This has got to be 0.414. This needs to be 0.414. Just in case we do some contrast adjustments. Okay. All right. So let's go back here to our clip exposure node. Exposure itself is good. Exposure itself is nice. Did I do an exposure on this? I know I did the color temperature. No, just color is all I did there. Perfect. That's what I was supposed to do. Okay. So I'm going to bring the gain down. Okay, nice. Still very hot back in here. Let me get this qualifier going again here. Oh, I need to get off the... there we go. Okay, and you can see that it's very much at the top. So I'm going to bring it down until we get some detail back there again. Man, it is just like... Okay. So that back there looks how I want it to look. Everything forward of that, I'm not crazy about, right? But let's take the lift down a little bit. We're just pushing down our blacks towards black. That's going to create some contrast for us. Now let's bring our gamma up, because that's what it looks like is a bad gamma shift. Bring the gains down some more. Okay, here's what we're going to have to do. Reset, lift, gamma, gain. Okay. Here's what we're going to have to do. I'm going to have to bring that in the background down using log wheels. That's what's going to have to happen. So I'm going to do that on my secondaries, is what I'm going to do. So let's go to the secondaries right here. I'm probably going to use those windows, but we'll see. So make a parallel node. Put that back up there. Oh, man. Wish I knew what was up with this mouse doing that. It's super annoying. Yeah, we'll just put this in here. There we go. And we'll call this sun fix. Okay. So this parallel, because it's a parallel, what that means is if I go and change my exposure and my contrast and all that kind of stuff, it's not going to affect. This is pulling from the source, so it's not going to affect. This isn't going to affect what's going on up there, and what's going on up there isn't going to affect what's going on down here. And then it's put back together here, however it does that. So let's see if this is the way to do it. I think this is the main reason to use parallel nodes. So I'm going to fix the bright sun back there, and I'm going to do it with log wheels. So I'm going to do shift offset, and that is going to take me to my log wheels. Now the thing is, I've got these different ranges, and I've got these different pivots. So I'm going to change the pivot to 0.414, where it's supposed to be. This is a new node. It was not changed. The highlight range, the upper range, there we go. I'm going to take it so it's starting way up high. Okay. And now I'm going to bring the highlights down. Okay. I don't see it making any change whatsoever. Maybe this is too high. Aha, there we go. Now we got something going on. Oh, I see the waveform there is doing something crazy. So let's reset the highlights there. All right, start bringing them down. I just don't like the look of that. Let's reset that. Reset that. So what is the other way I want to do this? I could do it with curves. It's just standard curves. So with my qualifier, if I were to scrape across that, it's going to show me where that is up here. Okay. So I'm going to hold down shift and tap here. And I'm going to hold down shift and tap. No, that's it. I just want, maybe back here. Okay. And so now if I bring this down, it's giving me a big spike right there. All right, starting to get somewhere now. Just don't want to flatten that all out, you know. Ooh. Yeah, I don't like that at all. That's not what I want at all. So we're just going to reset that node. Let's go to our clip exposure. Let's just go back to exposure. Back to my primaries. Take my lift down. Take my gain down. So what if I just got the background where it's supposed to be? Let's use these secondaries here. Let's try that. Oh, and I've reset these, so I don't have. So add a window, and we will. There we go. So I kind of want to protect these two, but like I still need. She's just right there on that sky. All right, let's go to the outside node then. And let's bring that gain down. You can just see that hard line over there across the. Oh boy. All right, so what if we reset all of that and go into our HDR mode? And oh yeah, what if we try that? And the sun fix in the HDR mode, and let's see what happens if we just rack down the specular. I think that probably does nothing. I see no change there. Okay. So what if we take down the highlight? Let's do a big change. Okay. And the light. All right, some weird saturation stuff there, but that's okay. So let's take the saturation down on the light. And that's better, right? But now let's just put it in a window. because I don't want it to affect the white water down here, but I do want it to affect the back side of the water. So this actually is going to work okay, I think. So it's doing a little bit to her, but I mean, what it's doing to her is not terrible. I don't hate it. Okay, that might actually work. Now, I'm at the end of the shot, and this is a shot that comes down from the sky, so we're probably going to have to do some crazy tracking with this window. In fact, let's feather it out some more, make it a little bigger. But it's better than it was. Definitely brought us some detail back. Okay, so now let's go to our clip exposure node and do just our basic exposure stuff here. This is where, why don't I play that still so I can see Roy? There we go. So let's drop the bottom just a little bit. Oh, this would help if you could see the scope so you can see how sort of disparate they are there. So I'm going to drop. Oh, and dadgummit. In the HDR mode. There we go. Primaries, color wheels. Here we go. Okay. So let's drop the lift. There we go. Now we got something going here. Bring it up a little bit. Okay. Gain. Now I can actually kind of take up just a little. And then gamma needs to go up. Take lift down just a little bit more. Okay, now there's still some red cast over here that we need to kind of take out. So if I am eyedroppering his jacket needs a little more green to it, so we need to go to green. So let's do some contrast first. Actually, I'll take the contrast down a little bit, I think. Yeah. That's starting to look pretty good, right? Okay. Might even take the gamma back up just a little. Okay. Contrast is good. Make sure we're at a good pivot point. Yep. Color balance. Okay, this is where we need to get rid of some of the red. So we're going to go towards cyan in the lift. We're going to go towards a little, that almost was enough. We're going to go towards green in the mids. And we're going to go towards green yellow in the highlights. Okay, I'm going to go back to my clip exposure. I'm actually going to go to my HDR wheel and do an exposure adjustment. Just bring the exposure up a little. A little more than that. Okay. Exposure's not quite as bright. I'll just take it up some more. It's getting pretty close there. If I turn the still off, I can see what that's doing back there. Like, so I can take these highlights down again. And on the Sunfix, still in these HDR wheels, I can take these highlights down even more. And the biggest thing is I can desaturate them because they're just like super green, yellow. I can add I feel like it's too yellow, so I guess it just needs to go blue in the highlights. Maybe a little magenta, put a little warmth back into it. Maybe a little bit in the light too. That's looking better, right? I think it looks way better. Oh, yeah. The only thing is I just kind of want to make that power window bigger. The feathering even bigger. All right, and then the Cinema Sat, really just need to take saturation out of the top end. So we'll go back to our normal primary wheels. We're in this CineSat, and let's see if this got reset. Let's make sure that it is in fact an HSV node. It is not, so let's go to HSV and right click again and make it channel 2 only. Okay, now it is a CinemaSat node, correctly set up. And I just want to take some saturation out of the top end, which will be my gain wheel. I'm on my primaries, so let's take some saturation out of the top. Just a little bit out of the middle. So again, let's play that still. Pretty darn close. Still brighten up Roy just a little bit. So let's see, what is this doing? Anything? Let's go to the windows. Power window. There we go. Sunfix is doing that. Clip. Okay, this is giving us, and what is this doing? This is not doing anything, right? This is not doing anything, but what it could be doing is, again, just a little darker exposure. That's too much, but let's do negative 0.25. And let's make it a little cooler, negative 400. So the shadows will be a little cooler. Okay, and so we'll disable that node and re-enable it. I don't hate that. Might hate it once it's moving. But if we can track it to Roy, I think we'll be all right. And then this one here is another one. We're going to add a window. I'm going to put this right around Roy. He doesn't move in the shot. The camera moves, but this should track to him very nicely. And I really just need it just kind of on his torso. Because his waders are not going to get any brighter. All right, and this one I'm going to do inside the window. So rather than on the outside node, we're just going to do it right here. And we're just going to bring the exposure up on the global. We can go a little more. Okay. Very cool. So here it is out of the camera. And here it is with everything that we have applied so far, just this shot. Not too shabby. Now, the problem comes, though, because this is a booming shot, it comes down from the sky. So let's go to everywhere that we have a window and let's track it, particularly this one with Roy. And we're going to track it forward and back. And the way to do that is shift down, add window, I think. Let's see. Top group, add window, shift down, tracks the active window in both directions. Yep. All right. So this window will be tracked to Roy. Roy's body will stay on him. I wish there were a simple setting in the tracker panel, essentially to indicate I want you to track, I want you to attach this to the background, not to the subject that is in this window. Okay, and our window track is already kind of getting off there. And now we can stop it there. So stop. Stopping tracking. Okay, great. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to where it comes off screen. So the last place that it was correctly on him, which was somewhere in here. Okay, we'll go to the tracker. We'll add a keyframe here. Okay, and then we'll back it up some. Let's bring it back down. There we go. Add a keyframe there. Oh, shoot. I forgot to put it on frame mode. So let's go back here. Okay, put it on frame mode. And now we'll add a keyframe. And we'll go here. And we will move that there. It automatically adds a keyframe for us. And now we will go here. It's a pretty smooth move, so I'm just sort of picking random frames. Actually, I'm going to go back to that keyframe because now that I can't see him, I need to look at the background to see sort of where it's tracking to. And I'll see that the curve is going right along this branch there pretty good. This little branch is just inside. Okay. So now we're going to go here. And it's not that far off, actually. We're just going to put it down like that. And then we'll go all the way. Let's do another halfway. Something like that. We'll go all the way to the end. There we go. And we'll just take it out completely. Like that. Okay. And so now as it goes through, go from keyframe to keyframe. Oh, because we're booming as well as, yeah, that's okay. That's fine. Close enough. Okay. So that is that. Go all the way to the end of the clip and make sure that it stays on him. It did track to the end. That's good. Okay. So starting at the end is probably the best way to do it. So now we're going to go to this window and we're just going to do the same thing. And we just do it right here. We'll track back. So I'm just going to save. I'll start tracking backwards, reverse tracking. And this will keep it attached to the ground, to Roy. I'm having fun. Are you having fun? I'm having a blast. Actual blast. It's kind of a tedious process. Also, I'm starving. Although it's 8:30, I really shouldn't eat much this late. I was gonna fix some pizza after this, but I didn't expect this would take quite this long. But every scene is going to have shots like this where there's just special things that you got to do to it, you know. That's okay. That's no problem. Okay. And let's stop that tracking there. That's good. That's good. Oh, I had it on frame again instead of clip. I guess that matters. Okay. Let's see when it starts going out. If it starts going up. No, it looks like it's locked in pretty good all the way. Yeah, I think that's probably fine. All right, so that's good. So then the last thing then is just this sun fix here, which again, let's go to the last frame. Oh, let's track one frame forward. That's not what I want to do. Make sure I'm on the last frame there. Okay. And yeah, I guess we will track this back. Let me just look before I do that and sort of see where does this go. Because what I might be able to do is make a giant oblong window and just have like imagine like a loaf of bread, have just this part of it, just the bottom part right here, attached to that bright spot, so that as we tilt up, the window kind of stays in place, but it ends up covering the whole sky area. Might work. Might work. There's a big dissolve here. So let me push this out. And let's change the aspect ratio here. Let's rotate. Oh, that's the feather. Here's the rotate. There we go. I like that. Looks pretty great. I might increase the contrast. Let me go to my primaries, make sure my pivot is set correctly. It isn't. Now it is. And increase the contrast just a little. Basically, I want to darken the shadows in that section. And just take down the whole saturation of that whole window. Okay, now let's see what happens when we track backwards. Probably rotate it more and make it bigger. Let's just see what happens though. Maybe this will work, because there are some trees that sort of come in from the side. I have to closer inspect how these highlights are rolling off. Oh, it's doing a weird perspective track. Yeah, because I got perspective 3D on. So, yep, it'll do that. I think this is going to work pretty good, because by the time it gets up to where we start getting into full sky, this dissolve begins, and I can manually adjust it to be a little bigger. If I hadn't put the perspective 3D on, I think it would have nailed it perfect. In fact, I could just redo it without the perspective 3D, and I think we would be golden. Tracking back through the dissolve. Our window disappeared because we were technically into the other clip now as far as the edit page is concerned. Sorry for the stream dropouts. I know that's frustrating. Okay, I think this is done. So let's go back to the end of our clip here. It's locked on pretty good. Close the gallery window here. I mean, that doesn't look bad. I mean, I can't tell where there's stuff going on up there and where there isn't, you know. So if we go from there to this, I feel like overall, this clip, the saturation just needs to come down, particularly in the greens and yellows. So maybe I should have left that yellow fix on there. So let's do another secondary here. So here, parallel node, there we go, perfect. And this will be green, yellow. And we're going to go to the color slicer. And we're going to take we're going to warm up the yellows just a little bit. And we're going to take their density down and their saturation down. All right. Okay, I see it a little bit in the leaves back there. So this is on, this is off, this is on. I don't know if it's not that drastic a change or what. The greens, let's take a little towards yellow. Let's increase their density and decrease their sat a little bit. All right, this is the node on, this is the node off. I just don't see it doing a whole lot. Maybe because it's a secondary node. Maybe I've got to really ratchet it down. Let's really take this up, really take this down, take this down, take this down. Oh, there we go. That's clearly doing something. And it's doing it too much, but I like what it's doing. So we're just going to go to the output key and we're just going to take this down to bring some of that color back. Let's do 0.667. So this is the effect not on. This is the effect on. It's just a real subtle thing. Yep. And I might use this node to just kind of warm everything up a little too. Just a little bit. 300. Small adjustments, but I think that it's good. So again, we're comparing it to something like this. I mean, it's pretty close. It's as close as we're going to get, I think. Okay, so let's go back to our gallery. Got one more shot in this scene, and then we'll be done for the night because my brain is about toasted. I don't want to look at that square. I'm tired of looking at this light. I'm going to turn this light off, actually. You'll just have to, actually, I'm going to turn it on, but turn it down. put it on the panel down here. Uh-oh. So you can see the panel. Okay. Oh, me. And let's also do, oh, it looks like our stream is completely restarted. Oh, well. Let's go to the Resolve lighting here. Just make it a little darker and a little more neutral. Okay. So I want to take a still of this. So grab still, put it in the active grades. There it is. And now we're going to go to the last shot. And first we're going to apply the grade. Okay. And we're going to have to fiddle around with all those windows and everything, but we'll take care of that. Excuse me. So let me disable this node for just a second. Let me put this on him here. Actually, I don't need the gallery anymore. Oh, that was input, like resizing or something. Doesn't look like there's anything there that got messed up. Okay. There we go. All right. And I'm going to add another window for Gwen. Try to make smaller. Put on her. Something like that there. Okay, and now we're going to track that node, which is downshift add window, or track that window rather. Track that window. And it carries the tracking on all through the dissolve. And we will lose the window at the point of the edit, basically the midpoint of the dissolve. If it behaves like it did last time, which it isn't. We're still seeing the window. That's interesting. Okay. That window is tracked. Now we're going to go this window is tracked. Now we're going to go to this window and we're going to track it. Oh, this window was already tracked, but we need to redo the tracking on it. Yes. Okay, so we'll track that window.